Hello everyone, welcome to eTech Facebook Live Fridays. I'm Tech Bob, and today we are going to be reviewing the opening process for the iPhone 12 and 13 series. This question has come up recently as the new Apple machines came out with the self-service repair program. That machine is a little bit on the pricey side, so what we're doing is showing the process we've been using since the phones came out, even before the machine was released. And it's just a couple of quick items needed. If you look at the screen, I have the items listed that we're using in the video. You can take a screenshot to save it, or you can reach out to us. We can help out with building that cart. But pretty low cost. I would say overall this is probably sub $100. The heating pad's on the most expensive item, and even then it's the larger one. You can use the smaller version, which is I believe $20 cheaper, so $59.99. But these tools are all you're going to need to get started. So I'm going to remove that from the screen just so it's not in the way, and we'll get started. So first off, we have to take the penalobes out of this phone because they're still in there. It has not been opened yet. So Hector's on this other camera, a little bit closer. Let me get the focus right. There we go. So he's going to take the penalobes out first. And while he's doing that, I have the heating pad already on and preheated. The temperature you want it at is 75 degrees Celsius. This is the temperature we find perfect for a number of things: opening iPads, opening iPhones, removing batteries if you're using like a heating pad for it. Doesn't damage the device, and it gets the adhesive softened up to where it opens up. We do want to turn the phone off though, so we'll shut that down. And then we'll put the phone face down, screen face down on the heating pad. The recommended time is 5 minutes. We'll try to speed that up a little bit on the stream today, but should be about that to get the adhesive softened up. Now, while that's happening, the biggest thing that we see technicians struggle with in this process is flexing the screen too much to where it cracks the actual OLED panel and not necessarily the glass. So a combination of what you're using today, the tools that we have, help reduce the amount of flex in the screen and pressure needed. I'll go over them as we have some time while it's heating up. We'll start with the first tool, which is the suction cup clamp. So this suction cup clamp helps lift the screen up slightly to where you can get your tool in without using too much force or having to really push inside of the screen. There's a number of different suction cups out there, but we find the clamp version, the different ones that are out there, work great because it lets you to use just one hand versus using the single-handed suction cup and then holding the phone down with the other. The second tool, we actually have a blade holder with a flat blade in it. This is good for a very precision insertion point. This is thinner than your standard like Icesimo or other metal spudgers or pry tools. This will get in there easily without having to really create too much space. Then the guitar picks you have are, technically we have them listed as opening picks. These are thinner than your average opening pick or guitar pick, so they're great for spacing as you go around the phone. And then alcohol and the heating pad are the last two. So we have just isopropyl alcohol in that small squeeze bottle. It's great for dropping it along the edge of the screen when opening it. That helps soften up the adhesive. And then the final tool is the heating pad. With all that said, how do you know when it's ready to go? If you pick up the phone and it's hot to the touch, you're pretty good to get started. Now, if you start it and it's not lifting at all with the suction cup pliers, put it back on there. Don't rush it. That's typically where you're going to end up with damage when you try to rush the process and just go with force versus waiting for the heat and the alcohol to do its job. There was one more thing with this phone. Oh, so this screen right here is not cracked. So suction works very easily on it. Now, in some cases, you're going to get phones you have to open where it's not just a battery. Say it's a screen replacement, but the screen is good and you want to send that screen in for buyback or trade-in or refurb or whatever it may be. If you crack the screen or the OLED panel, obviously you can't do that. So a recommended tip here, we're not going to do it on this phone since it's not cracked, but if you take a piece of packing tape and lay it over the bottom edge of the screen where you need to stick the suction cup to, that'll help get the suction cup to stick well to the screen. It'll help kind of keep the glass contained too, so kind of two benefits there, but just any type of packing tape should work for containing that and helping the suction cup. So I think we're at the 4-minute mark. Should be good. We're at like 2 minutes, so Hector's going to go ahead and get started with it. If we run into an issue where it's not popping up, we'll have to put it back on there, but he's going to take the suction pliers, stick them to the bottom of the phone. You try to get as close to that charging port as you can because that's where our insertion point is. And if you notice, when he's lifting up on it, you'll start to see a little bit of a gap on the bottom edge. And what he's doing is, so while it's hot, he's going to apply a little bit of alcohol. So while he's squeezing on the clamp, lifting up, applying the alcohol, that'll get it in that seam. It'll help sort of start in the dissolving process of the adhesive, or at least the canceling of it out. So he got his tool in there. We've already got some insertion, but we want to switch to a guitar pick as soon as we can. The reason for that is the blade is great for getting it started, but the blade is a very sturdy tool, so it can crack the screen if you just go along the edges. Plus, it's metal, so it can scratch the coating on the frame, or say even scratch your screen, some of the plastic off the bezel. So we're just going to use guitar picks from here on out, these thin opening picks. Again, he's going along the edges, and you basically start in the bottom edge, and then you work your way up the sides to the top. Remember, on the 12 and 13 series, the flex cables are on the left-hand side of the frame, so you do have to be careful when inserting your opening picks on that side. And this in particular, I believe, is a 13, not the Pro or Pro Max, just a 13. And again, this is a real, I wouldn't like to use the word slow, but it is a methodical process, because if you try to rush this or skip any steps, you most likely will crack the panel. And that's where some people asked if that Apple machine is worth it. I would say if you've broken at least 3 of these screens opening and now you're having to replace them for free, then maybe the machine's worth it, or you can try to perfect this process, or try this if you haven't been doing this exactly already. But it's a combination of like 4 things: the heating pad, the alcohol, the suction cup, and then your opening tools. It's a mix between the thin opening picks and the flat blade. If you have those 4 things, you should be able to successfully open these screens with no problem. Right now what Hector's doing is he's going to get the suction cup out of the way. The easiest way to do that, so there's little nubs on there you can pull. That helps break the seal. If you can't get that nub up, the other thing you can do is use your fingernail to get underneath the suction cup to break the seal, or if you don't have a fingernail, a spudger works as well. But you can tell, like the opening pick, which is what Hector's using. And that's what you want from a suction cup, for it to really hold on there well until you can't get it off. There we go, it's almost off. Cool. I think our other camera battery is dying, so hopefully that's not showing up on the screen. I'm guessing it probably is, so please disregard that. And right now what he's doing is just going along the edges to make sure there wasn't anything else. And that top edge is the last part. You have to be careful, because there's those metal clips that hook into the frame. You don't want to bend those, especially, like I mentioned earlier, if you're going into the phone and doing something other than a screen replacement, you're having to put the screen back on, you definitely don't want to cause any type of damage. And there we have it. The phone is open. So that's really all we wanted to focus on in today's stream. From this part, I mean, it's pretty straightforward to actually remove the screen from the phone, which we're not going to do. You would take the bracket off, unplug the battery, unplug the screen, and remove it. Because this is an iPhone 13, it only has 1 cable off the display itself, and then 1 off the sensor flex at the top. And you can see the Apple logo on there, so screen is still good. It'll pop back up in a second. There we go. No cracks, no discoloration, nothing there. So everything is good. We're going to go ahead and power the phone off and finish the stream up today. We were, just to kind of close off today's stream, we were talking about ideas for the next couple streams. We have 2 that are kind of floating out there. One of them is on the iPhone, or sorry, what was it, iPad? Oh, how to open an iPad without damaging the screen. So kind of continuing this series with the iPhones. Where that's handy is, say you're doing just a battery replacement on an iPad, whether it be an iPad 6, 7, 8, even the Pros, and you're just replacing the battery. The question came up on one of the groups is, how do you handle that cost? Do you charge the customer for the screen if you break it, or what happens there? We recommend get good at opening the device without cracking it. There's obviously some variables there you have to be careful with, like bent frame or bloated battery, things like that. But if you've got it down, you shouldn't necessarily have to charge the customer for a screen replacement if it's just a battery. So, well, that's option 1. Option 2, which it's come up, it doesn't really happen as much as we used to see it, but What happens, sorry for the accent there. What happens if you puncture a lithium-ion battery? And the series is mostly gonna focus on a couple things. One, the iPhone side. So what happens on an iPhone if you puncture it? Two is what happens on an iPad battery, and then three is testing the statement that's in some guides out there where if a battery is below 20% charge, it will not cause a thermal event. We want to test that to see if that's correct. Obviously, safety will be the biggest concern there to make sure nothing happens to either the people or the devices involved, but it's going to be more of a fact-finding experimental video than anything. So let us know in the comments which one you'd like to see. If not, we'll probably just make our best guess based on whatever people need. But that's all we had for today's stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see everyone on next week's stream, whatever it may end up being. Have a great weekend.